All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the San Diego Bass Fishing Podcast. Today we have Mr. Craig Taylor on board. He's a local guide here, but he also sells boat insurance, right?
I do that. Mainly sport fishing and six-pack stuff. We do yachts as well, but the six-pack and sport fishing is kind of my side of things. We do commercial boats as well, but the six-pack thing is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I thought you guys did purse steiners too, but no.
We do. Unfortunately, the majority of those boats are leaving. A lot of them are sold to Taiwan. Has a lot of them. Some of the small island places like Nauru, Marshall Islands, they started acquiring some of the seiners, and it's good for their economy. But the U.S. is we've gotten regulated out of anything. So
I know. So Craig, how'd you start fishing? What's your story?
My story is kind of weird. I honestly think I'm the only person in my family that fishes.
Mm-hmm.
And I vividly remember my very first fish and kind of what started it all. I was about 5 years old. My grandparents had a cabin out in Idlewild, and I don't know if you've ever heard of Lake Fulmore that's up there.
Oh yeah, I fished there.
Yeah, it's tiny. There's really nothing to it, but I remember we were up there visiting my grandparents, and I had some cousins up there, and we showed up, and I didn't have a fishing rod or anything. I wasn't expecting to fish. I knew nothing about fishing.
Mm-hmm.
So we got there, and I was walking around this lake, and I was watching my cousins down the way, and they all had spinning rods, and at the time I didn't know what a spinning rod was or anything, but they had these really cool fancy fishing rods, and they were just wiping them out. They're catching them left and right. And I saw that, and I told my grandpa, I was like, that looks fun. Can I do that? And he said, well, we don't have a rod for you, but we'll try something. I guess they were just kind of kidding around. They're like, we'll keep the kid busy, So my grandpa found a stick, about a 8-foot probably, piece of line. Thinking back, it was some really goofy blue mono, and like treble hook with 2 salmon eggs on it.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, walk over to this bank, and here we're gonna throw this out. I could almost see the salmon eggs. They were right there, and they told me, just hold the rod, sit still, don't move. And when you feel a tug, that's when you have a fish. And they were up there sitting at the picnic table just laughing at me, I guess, because I sat down in probably the most uncomfortable position in the world. I was sitting at an angle like this, and I just followed the rules. They said, don't move, and I did not move.
Yeah.
I sat there for a solid hour, they said, without moving. And to my surprise, I felt tap, tap, bump on the stick.
Uh-huh.
So I jumped up, and I didn't know what to do. I was just saying it was pulling on a stick. So I just walked backwards up the shore. Yeah. Up comes flopping this little 6-inch trout. The tiniest little trout in the world. But, they were all shocked that I even caught anything. And I was just beside myself. I was so stoked.
Yeah.
And from that day, it kind of turned into like, okay, begging my dad, can I get a fishing rod? So he found me one of the old Zebco 33s or whatever they are.
Yeah.
Type, rods, and it turned into going to the pier. He'd take me to Ocean Beach Pier because he lived down there in Ocean Beach. And, used to spend a lot of time out there. And I remember catching my very first legal calico bass. Thought that was just the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
And from there, it kind of went to, I spent a lot of time on Shelter Island, just catching mackerel. The Bonita used to get in there really thick sometimes. And I don't know if you remember the Shelter Island Pier, they used to have a bait, like they had live bait there. They had anchovies.
Okay.
And, I was watching guys catching bonita on live bait and stuff, and I was just really intrigued with that. So bonita kind of became my obsession.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Wanted to
yeah.
wanted to catch one of those things so bad, and I just wasn't having any luck at Shelter Island. And my dad took me up to Oceanside Pier. He moved out of Ocean Beach and up there,
Mm-hmm.
and I just remember seeing just balls of sardines both sides of the pier, and the bonita would just come up and blow through it from under the pier, from one side to the other, from the bait tank, the wash, the cleaning stations, all the way up around the pier. They would just be boiling everywhere, and I was watching these guys with the cast of bubbles and the little bonita flies. So I finally said, I need a bait caster. I was telling my dad, I need a bait caster. That's the only way I'm going to catch these things.
Yeah.
So he got me a little, off the rack. I think back then it was like Kmart or something, Daiwa Apollo little bait caster, and it had a pistol grip on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
So, imagine trying to lob one of those cast bubbles on a little pistol grip, but I learned, and I just sat there and I played with it, and that evolved into getting, a round style bait caster, the Abu Ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought I was really doing big things at that point.
Yeah.
And I started catching bonita on the pier. My dad would drop me off at dawn and wouldn't pick me up till it was dark.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Nice.
I spent my days out there. Everyone called me the kid, I had a group of guys there that kind of took me under their wing, I guess, and taught me how to do that, how to fish for halibut, how to do a lot of things on the pier. And, all that talk, they would talk about going on, the bigger boats for tuna and stuff like that. And that started that. And I just told my dad, I was like, we got to go on, tuna boat. And he said, first, let's do some half day stuff, so, getting on the Fisherman 3, doing all that. And, I caught big bonita on the Fisherman 3. Well, big for me at the time, and it was like I've heard you talk about it on here a lot. It's, some people say bluegill is a gateway drug. For me, bonita was. Man, those things.
Oh yeah.
Nothing pulls harder than a bonita. I don't care who you are.
Oh no. I totally. My first that got me into the whole saltwater thing, and just was my first bonita on the Some Fun out of Dana Point. It's just we did a morning half day trip, and it was just mind blowing, like how hard they pull.
Yeah, just seeing them, busting and boiling out of the water and eating bait right off the top. I mean, that was it. And after that, I just went from, I just kept graduating to bigger, more elusive, I guess, game fish.
Right. Yeah.
Going on an overnight trip. My first one was on the Electra out of Helgrins.
Yeah.
And we made a trip, and it was really foggy. I remember it was just really greasy, calm, kind of spooky, weird out there. And we got on a stop with some yellowfin, but it was mainly just skipjack, and the sharks were on us. And I mean, this was back in the day, like
when there was sharks.
He was hanging out the window shooting a 30-06 at sharks. Boom!
That's a good old days right there.
Yeah, I was like 10 years old, and I was like, what? This is crazy. But I loved it. I thought it was so cool, And so that kind of started it for me. And, I started just going on the Fisherman 3 all the time. And I was on the boats, and I was just always around. And that's kind of how I started working on those things. It was just being the kid that was fishing all the time. And started letting me go for free, doing the pinhead thing. And I'd wipe the boat down and do all that, whatever they needed me to do.
Yeah.
I helped out, but I mean, I was just fishing all the time, as much as I could.
Yeah. So, so I'm sure nobody knows about this, but Craig and I used to work together on the Shogun, on long range boat, the Shogun, a number of years ago at this point. It was a long time. It was kind of a long time ago.
I don't even was it like 2010, 11, something like that? Or was it before?
Yeah.
Every now and then memories pop up on Facebook or something, saying like,
Yeah.
this
Or
memory
maybe
with
even
Bruce.
before that. I
Yeah,
think it might have been before that.
probably it was a long time ago. But that was, I remember, with
Oh
Norm.
yeah, at least 15 years ago.
Yeah, Norm and Tommy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just looking at Tommy just now. He he posts stuff for the Royal Polaris and whatever. And he just posted a deck full of like 100 to 150 pounders, maybe 200 pounders, bluefin. You know where they're at?
Is it at San Clemente right now?
It's at San Clemente, but the island, they're like a half a mile off the island.
Yeah.
They're
And
like on the 100 fathom curve
yeah, it's
or 500 fathom curve. It's like right there.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
Jeff Markland posted something the other day too. Just they're just blowing out of the water, and it like looks like you could almost hit the island with a cast. It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
big ones too. They're like you said, they're
They
all
were,
like 150, 200 pounders.
yeah, that was the impressive thing. There was like, they all got their kite gear out and they're freaking winding these great big ones in and whatever. It's like, wow, wow, wow.
Yeah,
That is so cool. That is
I
so
mean,
cool.
how crazy is it? Like when we used to be way down on the ridge or something, you'd have like the Independence, you'd have the
Mhm.
Royal Polaris, you'd have the Vagabond all sit next to each other, and whoever had the alpha spot was kind of,
You'd sit there and watch them.
watching 300 pounders blow up in their chum line while we're just
Yeah.
sitting there dragging water. And now it's you go on an overnight trip and you're seeing those same boats out there, and they're catching same quality of fish locally. You can get those fish within 80 miles of Point Loma.
Yeah. Well, it is the good old days right now. Like this is it. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, but it's not going to last forever. It's not going to last forever. It goes in cycles, and but man, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy.
I know, and it's tough because like after the Shogun and stuff, I got rid of all my tackle that was sufficient for these things.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of the Pin Internationals or any of that stuff, so I kind of just waited for those things to do their thing, and then once the yellowfin and the exotics started showing up, that's when I would start fishing again.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I like doing anyway. I mean, I love fly lining on kind of that more finesse presentation for tuna. I don't know.
Oh, I know. I'm like a plunker bite is my favorite bite.
It's the best.
Keeping 1 to 4 going.
Yeah.
You have to fish for them, and you're just drifting for hours, and yeah, that's my deal. That's my whole gig for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I do have some stuff, and I think about it from time to time, but I also think, do I really want to pull on a 200 pounder under the lights with 20 other guys wrapping me? Like, it just sounds chaotic.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Yeah, fishing at night. These are in daytime. His pictures were like, I think they were from today, and it was all daytime fish.
Really?
Yeah, first thing in the morning. It was overcast. It was freaking bitching. In fact, a lot of the guys, you could see the rest of the fleet was still anchored up above them on up the island.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. It was interesting stuff. They weren't on anchor. I don't think they were on anchor. No, they weren't on anchor. They were too far off, but they were close. Yeah, they were close. So anyway, enough of that saltwater stuff. Let's get down to some serious business here.
Get down to business.
Yeah. So how did you start bass fishing?
Like I kind of always did a little bit of bass fishing, I guess.
Yeah.
It's fishing. You kind of do a little bit of everything. I've trout fished, bluegill. I mean, if there's a fish to be caught, I was trying.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know much about bass fishing. I didn't realize how intricate and like there's so many weird little variables with bass fishing. When you don't know about it, you just think, oh, they're just a stupid fish, and you throw a worm out there and you drag it around, you catch them.
Yeah, that's what sucks you. That's what sucks you in is the intricacy part of it. Like,
there's so many wormholes you can go down. I
you're
overcomplicating.
you're like the worm guy, like the king.
Dude, I love fishing a worm. I love it. I mean,
I
that's
know.
my favorite way to get them.
Yeah.
You know, everybody loves the top water blow up. I love catching busters, but to me, there's just something really special about kind of trying to blend into their habitat, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and offering, you know, you're not making them react as much as you're kind of feeding them. You're
Yeah.
trying to make them
Yeah.
think that they're eating a crawdad off the
Yeah.
bottom. And for me, that's always been intriguing. I can sit there and I love just feeling, dragging through, you know, whether it's rock or stick, and kind of feeling coming into that stuff and knowing, you know, just feeling that like any second, man, any second. And then you
Yeah.
feel like thunk, you know, and it's drop your rod and lay into them. It's the best
Yeah.
for me, you know.
Yeah.
Crankbaiting, I like to do it, but it's probably my least favorite way to catch them, just because I lose so many crankbaits and there's and I'm all about simplicity,
Yeah.
but I'm also overcomplicating everything all the time whenever I fish. I'm thinking like, well, maybe if I did it this way, or this variation of this color might be the ticket. And you know,
So
I've been
so
myself.
how often have you done this? Or maybe you've never done it, but I'm pretty sure you probably have. So like you'll be fishing along and you catch one, you catch two, and they're biting. They're starting to bite on your stuff, and you go to a totally different color to see if you can get them to bite better.
Yeah, or like maybe the bigger ones want this color. You know,
Yeah.
it's just, you know, it's funny. Like you go in these weird deep dives on worm colors, and you know, you try and like, I think they're eating bluegill right now, so I'm gonna go a little more of a green pumpkin. I'm gonna, you know, it's you know, the light just looks right to where maybe a little flash, some more glitter in it will be the key today or something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've realized that it doesn't make that big of a difference, as long as you're in the right areas.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're presenting it in the right way, you can you can fish a rock pile and catch them on 5 different colors. Sometimes I think it goes more towards your presentation and how much weight you've got on it, or the way it's coming through stuff, has made
Uh-huh.
big differences for us.
So okay, so I think there's might be a couple of schools of thought here as far as color goes, and we're going to touch on that. Was that like the Aaron Martins? He was using or designing worms for that the bass could see better in certain light conditions. You know, like he would fish a purple worm in the morning or whatever, and say, and I don't quote me on this or whatever that he said this, but and then like in dark hours he used a purple worm or a margarita mutilator, and then in lighter hours he would use the morning dawn or Martin's Madness or something like that, or Martin's Magic, something like that. Do you go with that, or do you go with like they're on shad, so I'm going to use a purple worm or a blue worm
I'm kind of
or
more of
clear?
that train of thought. If I think they're on crawdads, I'm going to go with more crawdadish
Okay. Yeah.
colors. You know, things that have maybe a little hit of red in them,
Yeah.
or oranges or
Yeah.
coppers. You know, things that are a little more natural, toned down. If
Uh-huh.
I think they're on shad, I'm going with, you know, going with grays, smoke colors. I like a lot of clear in my
Yeah.
worms.
Yeah.
I like translucent stuff. I don't know. I feel like if it really isn't matching what they're eating, then it's confusing them, and then they think, well, maybe that's a food source. I'm going to eat it. You know,
Yeah.
they don't have
Yeah.
hands, so
Right.
they gotta bite it to feel what it is or figure it out.
So to go back with what you were saying, because I don't want to skip that, you were saying that you're finding that it's more of a presentation factor, and you're finding out that different weights or maybe leader length or whatever is what you're seeing to be a big factor.
I really believe that, because I feel like whether you're fishing cap, otai, sandy, doesn't
Yeah.
matter. You can, if you use some variation of green pumpkin, you're going to catch fish. every
Sure.
type, every time of the year, it doesn't matter. But I've noticed there's certain times where if you're fishing say if you're fishing an echo rig and you're fishing in 40 feet at Sand B, which happened a lot this spring. It was
Hmm.
it was almost lights out fishing for that. You know,
You were
I
getting them.
was
You were doing well.
I was just I mean I was having 40 fish days and I wasn't catching giants and I was losing a lot
Hmm.
because I still tend to fish light line.
Yeah.
Um, we've had days there where we're fishing 20 pound, no problem getting bit. And they just don't care. Other days we fish lighter. John and I we bounce things off each other all the time, and we've had multiple trains of thoughts, and we've had multiple times that we've been proven so wrong on things.
Yeah.
We'll say, well, maybe if we try doing it like this, and we go out there and we try it, and it works one day and it doesn't the other. So we're constantly adjusting.
Yeah.
And I think that's our number one thing is we're not really adjusting our colors as much, even though I've got 800 colors of roboworm. There's a few standouts that just always seem to work, and we kind of like to baseline off those colors, and sometimes variations change. Sometimes adding a little hit of chartreuse on the tip,
Yeah. Yeah.
does something. We noticed that at Mojave, that for some reason they seem to be on more of a bluegill pattern or those little. There's a lot of green sunfish in there.
Hmm.
Those green sunfish are aggressive, man. I was catching them on
They're
top water.
very aggressive.
They're like
Yeah.
this big.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of those there. So we're going with kind of bluegill patterns, green pumpkins, and
Yeah.
a little shot of chartreuse or a little bit of blue in there because green sunfish get those blue stripes on their cheek.
Yeah. Yeah.
Little variations in clear water I think do make a big difference. And for some reason they like a lot of colors that don't look like anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I don't know why they eat a morning dawn worm. It looks pretty stupid in the water to me, but they like it.
So do you have a tendency to use like heavy weights to get down quick, or do you use a light? You use a light weight.
90% of the time I'm going with the lightest weight I can possibly fish.
Yeah.
I mean, I 8th ounce, 16th ounce. I fish 16th ounce a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
Wow.
Light line too.
That's interesting.
I'll fish 16th ounce on 7-pound test fishing Texas rigs a lot. I do it a lot.
Yeah.
And it's put some pretty sizable fish in our live wells, and it's helped us out in tournaments a lot.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, just what you got to do in San Diego. It's just one of those things. That's what I like hearing it is for this podcast, because it feels like our fishing is different than the rest of the country or even the rest of California. Granted, we can go down there and have good days on a chatterbait, and we're very fortunate to be able to do that, because I know the guys in Castaic and Casitas, not really. And but then again, it's like, man, you go up to some of these guys' boats and it's just like you said, it's very small weights, and it's light line and small worms and different rigs and whatever, and that's what our fishing is if you want to be consistently good and place well like you guys have, then you have to feed them what they want. You can't go out there and try to force feed them. They're not going to bite.
I agree, and I mean it's kind of funny how quickly I'll give up on a reaction bite. It's almost it's almost laughable. If I'm not bit in 15 minutes, I put it away.
Yeah.
I put it away and I go back to my strength, which is fishing worm. And sometimes I'll use that just to I'll catch a couple on a worm just to kind of locate where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of time, with the forward facing, you see a lot of fish, but a lot of the fish that I like to catch, you don't see so much. That they're hunkered down in the rock, or really deep in the brush, especially at Sand B. You don't know. You just kind of find the depth that they're at.
So you feel, other than I know we all use the forward facing for different things, and we all use it for whatever. But you feel that your forward facing is benefits by like using it for structure.
I do, yeah. I like to find a rock pile. I like to find what side the fish are sitting on it if I can, or
Exactly.
or kind of, we fished these rock piles for years, and
Yeah.
unless the water gets real low and and you can literally look at it on the bank, we don't really know. I mean, you think, you feel something, you're like, oh, that feels like a pretty, like a basketball sized boulder. And whenever I'm coming off that, it's dropping down. That's where I'm getting my bites.
Yeah.
You don't really know until you kind of really see it on forward facing. Then you realize, like, there's actually a boulder there, but there's a stick, like a couple of sticks right there. And when it's falling into that, it's kind of hitting off that stick. And that's what seems to be triggering them, because I'm dragging it off this rock on this side and nothing's happening.
Right.
This one, there's a stick there. And for whatever reason, they want to be next to that stick.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's been times where I'll sit on a rock pile and I'll just go cast for cast, catch 10, and you'll never see them on the forward facing.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, where are they hiding? And if they're just on the back side of that rock or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely use it for my structure fishing, but I've also had to keep up with the Joneses, and I've learned how to go out there and scope.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's how you won not too long ago.
Scoping. Yeah.
I mean, you cut your big fish scoping and then whatever else. Yeah.
Big fish scoping. I think we caught, we had a couple, we lost a couple scoping. It was a weird day. They just weren't really into it. I mean, we kept seeing, Jake kept kind of coming back into a certain area. We saw them scoping out there, and Justin Hanold, and we were fishing the bank, but we'd poke out. Poke out, we'd look around, we'd find some bait, and when it seemed like the fish were kind of more active, we'd go out there for 10 minutes, circle back, but we're also kind of guarding our rock pile.
Yeah.
Because we knew what was there.
Yeah.
But it really didn't pan out that way. It kind of, we caught some fish there, but it was slow. It just, how it is, tournament day, everything changes.
Fish get smaller, fish move.
Yeah. And so we just kind of bummed around there for a while, and it was like 2:00, and we're like, we need one more keeper. We've got the kicker, we've got, other nice fish to complement it, but if we don't catch one more 2.5 pounder,
you're giving it away.
Forget it. So John came in so clutch. We were about to call it a day, and we stopped in this one cove that my buddy Justin and I had been fishing, I think, a couple weeks before, and we caught some fish in there. So we stopped there, and I got bit instantly and lost it. And I was like, great, that sucks. So I was feeling pretty down, and John just went into hero mode and just stuck like a 3-pounder with literally 5 minutes before we had to put the trolling motor up and get back to weigh in.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, that was like, I mean, we have a 7.5 pounder in the live well, but we're hooting and hollering and screaming over the 3-pounder.
Oh yeah.
And that's not the first time that he's done something like that. John pulls out hero moves.
Yeah.
So he saved our day. Lots of times. But yeah, forward facing, I was out at Sandy today because I switched some electronics on the front. Now I've got a Garmin up front.
Oh, so was today the first day you had the Garmin?
Yeah, so I went out and I was just kind of trying to figure it out, see what the differences are, and it's night and day from what I had. It really is.
You get the 36.
Huh?
You got the 36.
The 34.
34. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I hear you.
It's crazy. I mean, I don't know much about, because I know you've got the Lowrance Active Target, and I know a lot of guys have it, and it works great for them. But for me, I was like, if I'm going to do something, I still have my Humminbirds for my mapping side imaging.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for strictly scope, I went with that, and it's just from the 2 hours I had on the water today.
Yeah.
I already seeing a big difference on. I can track my bait. That's
right.
I mean, I was throwing a 3/32 ounce jig head with a little 3-inch plastic on it, and I could see it out 60 feet.
60 feet.
No problem. And I could see further, but it got a little windy, and it was kind of hard to do that at that point. But I was just trying to dial in my settings and figure out.
Yeah.
The color gain, it's different from the Humminbird. The Humminbird's got
Right.
like 5 different settings that you can really tune, whereas it seems like the Garmin has just got 2. It's
okay.
Your gain and your color gain.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 that I was playing with just to see what was better and what color palette I liked. But
yeah.
I'm looking forward to really getting to know it, because it's definitely different.
Yeah. So okay, here, let me get this here. So let's see here. So I consider that you guys win a lot. Like you and John, you and Justin. Why is it there's a lot of good fishermen in San Diego? Why do you guys win? Why do you win?
I don't know. I mean, I would say that we probably just do things different. We definitely try to not follow the herd. I mean, the talk's everywhere. You're in the fishing community. You hear it. You hear the bites doing this, or guys are getting them here, or doing that. And I think one of our main things is we've always tried to be super respectful of other people's bites. And we just try and stay away from that. We know that there's going to be alpha spots on the lake, and we just kind of say, well, let's find something different, because we know everyone's going to fight for it. We don't know what our draw is going to be. We almost never get good draws. So
it's funny because I was talking to Kevin Norling about the same thing, and he talked about the draws. In San Diego, it's such a big deal because of our lakes are so small.
Yeah, I mean everybody knows where it's going down. I mean, if you spend any time on the lake, you see, and I guess we've always just kind of done our own thing. We've just tried to find something a little different off what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Not saying that, hey, if there's busters, we're going to go mix it up. Yeah. But we're never going to encroach on anybody's spot. We always keep our distance. And, if we know someone's throwing a Carolina rig and that's how they're getting the big ones, we'll go somewhere else and we'll throw a jig, or we'll just do something different. Just try and keep it fresh, try and keep it something maybe that they're not seeing all the time, because you see how quickly it gets blown out. Bite here once news gets out.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing the same thing.
Yeah. Right.
And especially if it's good reaction bite fishing. Like, everyone knows what's going on with the buzzbait at Cap right now.
And crankbait. Yeah. And we're already seeing it like back off. It's already maturing into something else.
Yeah.
And granted, it'll probably, maybe it's the moon or something. Maybe it'll pop back up and it'll start biting again, the crankbait or the buzzbait. I mean, it's good, but I was out there yesterday and we had 5 blowups in the morning, and it was like, compared to 2 weeks ago when we're landing 12 for the morning off the buzzbait. We're getting half-ass 5 blowups kind of thing. Like, yeah, this is kind of getting played out quick.
Yeah. And it does. And so you're always trying to think of, well, what's what are they going to do next?
Yeah.
Or how can I fish a different variation of that pattern that we know is working?
Sure.
So we know that right now a lot of these fish at Cap especially are in inches of water. There's a lot of really, really shallow fish.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think they're tired of hearing clack, 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 you know, over their heads. They're pretty, you know, they're getting pretty savvy about it. So, I mean, my train of thought would be like, okay, let's do something more finesse. Now, whether it's a walking bait or a popper or something
Yeah.
like that,
Right.
that's where I'm going to lean. I always
Yeah.
try to lean. I always err on the more finesse side of a lot of things when it comes
Yeah.
to bite, whether, you know, jerkbait bite. Okay, everyone's throwing a 110. I throw a 110 junior
Yeah.
in a clear color, you know,
Right.
lighter line. I'm always kind of trying to outsmart the fish that, you know, maybe have been caught recently,
Mhm.
or just the fish that are a little bit more wary.
So with your jerkbait outfit, are you going with like starting with 12 pound and going from there, or do you like 10 or 8 or even 6? I
I,
mean,
you know, the lowest I usually go is 8.
yeah,
I
yeah.
fish 8 pound a lot,
Do you? Yeah,
and for me, a lot of it is just the action. You just get so much better action with lighter line.
right.
I scope with lighter line. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
10 pound is about as heavy as I like to go, unless I know that I'm if I'm fishing, if I'm scoping like fish over a treetop or something, then
yeah,
yeah, maybe I'll run heavier line, knowing that that fish can get me in there. But when you're over, you know, over 50 feet of water, that fish
yeah.
has nowhere to go.
Oh,
And
I know. Yeah,
with a single hook
yeah,
on that light line, it's just fun.
yeah.
It's just fun. You know, I like to fight a fish. I like to play him out. It's a lot.
I've been having a great time scoping out in deep water with 6 pound test and whatever, 5 pound, 4 pound. Went to 4 pound the other day. I didn't lose any. It was
No,
awesome.
no. I mean,
I
you just
bite the heck out of
yeah,
it.
just gotta play him out a little longer.
Yeah,
And, you know,
yeah,
it's fun. You know, let those drags work.
yeah,
There's really nothing they can do. And with a single jig hook, they're usually hooked so good they're not coming off.
yeah.
I think my loss rate is maybe like probably 5% on scope fish because
Really? Yeah.
I got a whippy rod and
Hmm.
light line, and good luck shaking it. You know, as long as you got some tension on there, they're not getting off.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
I
good.
feel very comfortable when I do hook a good fish doing that. You know, I don't stress out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. So what about fishing, bass fishing? What don't you like about it?
Yeah, that's a hard question because I haven't really thought about what I don't like about it. I mean, I don't like when there's not tournaments.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
for me, you know, guiding has really kind of filled a little bit of that gap of when there's not tournaments because
Hmm.
I I address it as the same way I would a tournament.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm looking for not only easy fish. You know,
Easy fish.
you want to limit. You want to be able to put your client on fish. You want them to catch, no matter what it is. I mean,
Vent
if they're
rods equal smiles.
exactly if they're 1.5 pounders, they're 1.5 pounders.
Yep.
So I'm always trying to find that, but I also want to find something that's user friendly that can get them a bigger bite.
Hmm.
You know, and
Hmm.
sometimes
Sure.
that's hard. You know, you can't, depending on the talent level that's on the boat. If you know, not everybody's going to be able to grind a 10xd.
Yeah. They can't throw frogs into trees.
Exactly. So
At
you
least
got,
not many of them. Not many of my clients haven't. Yeah.
yeah,
It's tough.
no, I know. So you've got to kind of find that happy medium where it's user friendly, but they have that shot of getting
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's
Um,
challenging.
it is, but that's why I like it. You know, and
Yeah.
you know, it's so
Yeah.
fun watching a kid just get stoked catching a fish. I mean, we get
Great.
kind of we get
So
jaded.
great. Yeah.
We get jaded. You know, we're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's another 2 pounder, big deal. But
Yeah.
for this kid, it's incredible. You know,
Yep.
and sometimes it just takes one fish to make the entire trip.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I've been enjoying that. You know, but my heart really lies in tournament fishing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just, it's fun when there's really something on the line, you know, and it's when you see all your pre-fish, your prep, and everything come to fruition, and all of a sudden, you know, you're getting a check and a cool plaque, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I know.
a good feeling.
The what's your favorite season?
Honestly, my favorite season would have to be fall.
Really?
I mean, I love that.
Like that San Vicente fall fish?
Yeah, they're just doing so many different things at that time of year. You know,
Yeah.
there's so many different ways to catch them. There's so many patterns happening. You could literally put a list of 10 different techniques on the wall, throw a dart, and whatever you land on, if you put that rod or that technique in your hand, you're probably going to be able to catch fish. Whether it be fishing a jig, worm deep, flipping up shallow, fishing a top water, you know, they're just doing everything that time of year.
Yeah.
So that's probably my most fun for like really just fishing hard and doing a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
But I would have to say winter fishing is my favorite.
I agree. I like winter.
I love the
Winter into that free spawn, but
yeah.
I also like it when it initially drops. Like
Mhm.
the first time it hits 58,
Yeah.
56, 54. Man, I found some really fun fishing when
Yeah.
it's like that. Like
Just like
it's
something pops in those fish and it
yep.
says, all right, batten down the hatches. We're gonna eat.
Yeah.
We're gonna eat because we're slowing down.
Yeah.
But
And,
that's that time of year is when you catch usually the biggest ones.
yeah, and even the grind, the grind of the
I love it.
December, middle of December, January, when it's at its lowest, I love that too, like
Yeah.
because every every cast could just be the biggest fish of your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And like pre-spawn, once we start getting into February, March, that time, I like it. I
yeah.
don't like fishing tournaments because
I
it's
don't like fishing tournaments at that point.
such a crapshoot.
It is.
It doesn't matter how much prep you put into it. If you don't get
Yep.
the spot,
Yep.
you know,
They're going to be schooled up on a channel swing bank or something, and yeah, if you're not there, you're going to catch 12 pounds, and the other guy's going to come in with 23,
and you're gonna watch it happen,
and you're going to watch it happen.
and it's gonna suck. And it's. I mean, we've definitely
Yeah,
had our share of being the guys people are watching, but I've been on the receiving end so many times, and
yeah,
it
yeah.
sucks, and it is what it is. It's a good. I think even Randy touched on that, with the juniors tournament is that it's just a good humbling experience, and you got to have those days. You
Yeah.
just got to have it.
Yeah, yeah.
You learn just as much from a bad day as you do a good day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, if the fishing was on fire every time you went, it would get boring.
It would be absolutely. I totally agree.
It would get super boring if you just knew, San V was kind of getting like that for a while this spring
Mm-hmm.
because I knew I could go there and I knew I could catch 40 to 50 fish, but they're all clones. They're all the same. It was all doing the same technique.
Right. Yeah.
And it got kind of repetitive and it just kind of wasn't fun. I was like,
Yeah.
oh boy, here we go. Another 2.5 pounder.
Yeah. Yeah.
40, 50 feet of water. It got boring. So I like to mix it up.
Yeah. You got to keep it fresh.
I like those tough days. And that's another reason why I like that dead of winter fishing because, there's just, you're going to have days out there where you get a couple bites a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But sometimes it's, it's the right one.
Right. Yeah. Like, have you visited Hodges? Have you gone float tubing or anything?
No.
Since they pulled the water down?
No. Oh
God, I can hear the disappointment in your voice.
I mean, man, Hodges was like,
That was a special
that was like
place.
John and I's Disneyland.
Yeah.
That was our like escape. There's no tournaments were there. Like I remember, it was probably like 3 or 4 years ago, when just nobody was out there. Because everyone was so scared of that place. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
I lose $100 worth of tackle every time I go. I hate that place. I never get bit. I can't figure it out. Blah blah. And John and I would just go there and just have epic days.
Yeah.
I mean, I know seeing you out there,
Smash.
during those times, and we were just laughing like, oh, got an 8-pounder today. Got a 7.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got about 25, pounds. It was
It was really nice, yeah, that there wasn't any tournaments and you could just go and fish. You didn't have to worry about burning your fish. You just go and catch them.
yeah.
I like that's one of the reasons I like Sutherland so much. It's because I just go up there and go fishing. It's fun, and you don't have to worry about setting the hook.
It's funny. This might be a fun, laughable thing for the listeners that think that I've probably fished everywhere around here. I've literally been to Sutherland twice.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one of the times we went there, Justin and I stacked up like 26 pounds.
Right. I remember you telling me about that.
And it was fun. We're catching them on a popper and a swim jig.
That's awesome.
It was just fun. It was fun fishing. We had a really good time. And
Yeah.
it kind of reminded me of going to Hodges. It was just no pressure. There wasn't really a lot of guys out there. There's maybe 5 boats on the water that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we just had a blast. And that day also Justin lost a double digit for sure.
Oh, really?
It's a big fish.
Yeah, I haven't got any real big fish out of there.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. There's a lot of 4 to 6 pound fish in there.
That's the thing. That's what I see. Is there's just a ton of 4-pounders, 5-pounders, and there's a lot of those. Yeah, and they get schooled up.
So it's fun, and to me, it's one of the most beautiful lakes around here. Just being up in the mountains, you're close to Julian, and it's just pretty. It looks different than all the other lakes down here.
We were up there. It was tournament day. We saw flocks, like literally flocks of turkeys walking down the bank. Yeah. That was pretty bitchin'. Yeah.
We had this one little stretch where the fish were pushing bait up, so it's kind of like a little, I don't know, maybe like a 30-yard stretch.
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of kept going back and forth on it because it seemed like maybe us blowing through with the trolling motor was kind of stirring up the bait and the fish.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how we got that bag. We just kind of went back and forth on that.
Yeah.
And, we're doing that, and I just remember just watching turkeys just coming up and like getting right on the water's edge, and I was like, these are brave. Like you'd like flip stuff up on the bank, and they wouldn't even move.
No.
Like they kind of almost looked at you like they attack you if you maybe got
they own the place.
Yeah. Because I've been attacked by swans. And those things
geese and swans, they're gnarly.
Yeah,
they'll bite the heck out of you.
Yeah, we used to go to Lake San Marcos a lot, years and years ago, and we used to catfish there at night.
Yeah.
We just something to do. We'd go out there and catfish, but there was always these swans where we'd catfish. And if you got too close, those things would chase you down.
Yeah.
And they'd get up, and they'd puff up, and they'd start flying at you and pecking at you and squawking.
Yeah.
I mean, those things they're like dinosaurs.
Yeah. So just so everybody knows, it cuts out when I get a phone
Jim
call.
gotcha.
And my partner Jim just called me and wanted to know if East County Bait and Tackle sold crickets. No. So we had to start over here.
Fishing, or does he have a lizard at home to feed?
No. He takes his grandkids bluegill fishing, and they have.
Oh, gotcha.
They go all the time. They go to Otay and they go to San Vicente and they they get them. You know how it is, bluegill fishing around here. So
Man,
they have a good
talking
time.
about bluegill fishing. I mean, geez, the amount of bluegill at Sandy right now, or it has been.
Really?
Man.
Big ones?
I haven't really caught a ton of big ones. I got like a 12 incher.
Yeah.
Not too long ago there, but I'm catching a lot of like hand size,
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's schools of like 40 and 50 to 100.
Really?
You just see them on the scope, and it's like, oh man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Figure out the depth that they're at, and put a slip bobber and a mealworm, and it's lights out.
Really?
Catch as many as you want.
That's awesome.
So it's
that's
a good
thing.
fallback. Like I know Andre, he does a lot of those bluegill trips.
Yeah, I have to hand it to him. He's done well with them.
But those bluegill at Otay, they're fun. I mean, I remember I was there probably 2 months ago, and I was just playing with the bluegill.
Yeah.
I was just having fun catching them on a little tail spin.
Yeah.
And Taro's like calls me and he says, "What are you doing out there?" Like catching bluegill.
Catching them?
He's like, "Well, you got to get over an Otay arm. It's going on. It's happening."
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. So I left that to go catch bass, but I was having a lot of fun catching those bluegill.
Yeah.
They
Nice.
group up and they're so aggressive.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I haven't done that yet.
It's fun. It's fun,
yeah.
But you've got to have, the right. I wouldn't. It's not like the right tackle. They're bluegill. You catch them on anything, but to make it fun, you've got to have like a really nice whippy rod and the smaller reel. Light line, light drag.
Yeah.
Make it fun. But yeah, those little suckers pull. It's fun.
Yeah. You fish them on like straight 2 pound, or you like 4 pound?
4 pound.
Yeah, they bite 4 pound good.
Yeah, but I mean, they bite 5 and 8 too.
Oh.
when you're catching
Okay.
on those little tail spins and little road runner type things, I don't think it matters as much. But like I said, with the scope thing, I like to have fun. I like to pull on a fish. Like I like to fight them.
Yeah.
So one of these days, I'm going to learn how to fly fish.
Oh man, I could imagine you could do some damage because like indicator fishing, and it's super efficient because the bobber stays where it's at, and you can you cast the whole thing out, and it's always right there, funk, and you just set the hook and then strip it in, and it would be very good. It would be very good.
I know John. He keeps trying to get me to go to Pyramid, but I don't think he's gone for a couple years.
Yeah, I haven't gone.
But
I haven't gone in a while.
I hear the stories about it. Sounds fun. He says there are guys that go with more conventional tackle and catch them, and
oh yeah,
to me that sounds fun. Like I know Marshall was telling you about. He wants to go out there with forward facing and try it from the bass boat.
So yeah, there's certain times of the year that they're on bait. Well, I mean they're always on bait, but they like chasing this. It's called tui chub, and their tui chubs are anywhere. I've had them cough up like 9 to 13 inch tui chubs, like cough up right in front of the ladder, and I measured them, and so they're on this great big bait up there. But yeah, you could forward face them on those bait balls, and it just really do some damage.
Like a glide
really
bait.
Do some damage. I can only imagine what an A-rig does up there or something like that. Like, they're gonna be pretty silly.
Yeah, it sounds fun. I mean,
yeah.
I hear trailering up there is kind of a sketchy situation just because the roads can get pretty bad.
Yeah. I've towed boats up there several times, and the last year I was going up there, I was towing every time I was going up, and like there's only one launch ramp, and if the wind comes up from that direction, you're kind of screwed. Like bass boats, man, there's guys that take bass boats out there, but boy, you're really asking for it. It's you need something with high gunnels on it, just because the wind is just crazy gnarly. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd imagine if the wind is coming right into that launch ramp too. Like, how do you get back out? I mean, I've had issues at Diamond Valley when the wind gets right.
Oh, I bet. Oh yeah,
It gets
I bet.
downright sketchy getting the boat back on the trailer.
Yeah,
there's been times where I've thought about maybe I should just tie up and just see if
yeah,
they'll let me keep my boat here overnight.
yeah,
Until it
yeah.
gets-
There was one day at San Vicente that the wind was blowing so hard that I didn't trailer it. I just went and I went over into Aqueduct and just hung out, I waited for it to come down.
Was that the
Yeah,
day those big thunderstorms came through?
yeah, yeah. I
I
think so. I don't know. It was so windy. I mean, it was. I was taking them from the island to the launch ramp. I speared two of them. Like,
wow.
yeah, and I was going into it, but I speared two of them. I was going slow, and I wasn't trying. It was gnarly. It was, and that's not a long run. That's not a long fetch. You know,
No,
it was really blowing hard.
yeah, because Diamond Valley, it's got a lot of surface area to
Yeah,
really get some waves going. But
yeah,
yeah, at San V, there's an island, Lowell Island in the middle, kind of
I know.
breaks things up, I would
Yeah,
think. But yeah, so it must have been because I did talk to a guy that was there that day, and
yeah,
he said there's like 10 boats in the marina just fighting for their lives.
yeah. Rob McGargle was there that day, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy. It was gnarly.
Yeah, my buddy sent me a video from Cap that day, and it was blowing 50 for sure.
Yeah,
There's
yeah, yeah.
I was just watching guys in boats just getting swept past them.
Like, I bet.
He was like, I think a tornado touchdown. Like, I don't know about a tornado, but it was, it was definitely pretty gnarly out there.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so I have a question here for you. What is let's see, what's the one tournament or catch, maybe like a day of it or whatever, that stands out in your mind? Like,
I know. Probably one that John and I always talk about because it was just such a fun day. It was an OTI tournament. I don't remember what year. Okay, 2018.
yeah.
2018. It was a OTI tournament, and in pre-fish I found a really good deep crank bite.
Mm.
Problem was that bite was only good for about 15 minutes in the morning, and it had to still be pretty dark out. Once the sun came out, poof, gone. So it was a team series, and we had the spot. We were ready. The launch, everything just took a little too long, and we were watching that gray sky get lighter and lighter, and I was just like, it's going away. It's going away. So we finally, our number gets called. We make it to our spot, and within about 5 or 6 casts, we just, it was just, we missed it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't happening. So from there, we'd also been on a little bit of an A-rig bite.
Mm.
And it was kind of fishing over the tops of the trees in the back of Harvey. This would be forward facing and everything. So it was just kind of like, we knew our waypoints, we knew where the trees were, and we were kind of guessing on how far to let A-rig sink.
Yeah.
We were going through them. I remember specifically that tournament because we were fishing those Yum, the Yum A-rigs because they were cheap.
Yeah.
Because we were losing a lot of them.
Flash Mob Junior.
Yeah, exactly. So we were having that kind of deal, but instead of going all the way back first thing and doing the crank thing in the front of the lake, we're like, darn it, we're probably not going to be able to get back there.
Because you already started somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what though? These fish have kind of consistently been moving a little bit further out.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't so far in the back. I don't know if it was because the water was dropping or what the reasoning was, but those fish were just kind of making a march out.
Mm-hmm.
So we made the decision to start on that big, that main point going into Harvey, the big rock pile on the right side.
Yeah.
And said, let's just let's just start here and we'll start working back and see if we can, cross with these fish. So we pull up to the rock pile, put the trolling motor down. I pick up the A-rig, fire out a cast, let it sink a little bit. I get 3 cranks in and it just stops. I'm like, oh, wow, cool. Got a 3-pounder. John fires out. Gets one. We're like, holy crap, like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And we just start going. We put the boat on spot lock. We're just making this cast, and it's just every cast.
Yeah.
Every cast. Every single cast. We're getting bit, we're catching one. And I remember at one point looking at the graph on the 2D, and underneath us was just spaghetti. It was like literally the entire biomass of the lake was sitting right around our boat.
Yeah.
And
wow.
I remember later in that tournament, Aaron Morrison was like, dude, because he watched it all go down. He was coming around the corner and he saw it, and he's like, oh my God. Like,
yeah.
How many fish did you guys catch? And I think our count was 96.
Really? Yeah.
After that A-rig thing kind of stopped, John started throwing his worm up kind of shallow in towards the tulies and dragging out.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the exact number, so don't call me. We'll have to ask John for sure. But I think he went 26 for 26.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, we already had our weight by
yeah.
then. And it was just kind of more of I just kind of just was like watching. I was like, come on, you can't get bit again.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was 25 or 26 or 28, 29, something around there. It was
That's
over
impressive.
25.
Yeah.
Just after every cast.
Yeah.
And that kept going until somebody, I'm not going to say a name, came flying in on full pad, got in between us and the Thule line.
Yeah.
Rocks. And that
Yeah.
shut that down. There was words exchanged, but that was the end of that.
Yeah.
That's one of the more memorable ones for the number of fish
Mm-hmm.
we caught. And we actually, I think we had like right around 18 pounds on that one, but we got beat by Todd Holverson because he caught it like a 10-pounder on a trap.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, you got second place that day?
Yeah. That year,
that's
that
crazy.
year was the year of second places for us.
Yeah.
I think we won one, but we just couldn't seal the deal.
Yeah.
But that year we did get Angler of the Year in Team Series because it was a very consistent year.
Yeah.
But the first tournament John and I ever fished together, we won. So
Is that right?
That's probably one of our most memorable ones too.
Yeah.
Just going out there, and I mean, we were bouncing 3.5-pounders, just laughing. Having so much fun. So I don't know if you fished with John before, right?
Oh yeah. I spent a couple of
of
days out there with him.
It's fishing with John is just laugh a minute. The guy, he's got stories for days, and I think that's part of the reason why another reason going back to why you think we do so well would be just our chemistry. We just fish well together, and we have fun. We never took it too serious.
Yeah,
we still don't. We're out there cutting it up, laughing, having fun.
Yeah,
and we don't let it get to us. We've had our share of really bad days, but we always just laugh our way through it. We always have fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fishing. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that Otay one probably might be the main one for the just memorable. We that one comes up a lot in conversations.
Oh yeah, I bet. I'm sure it does. It does.
But our most talked about days are probably always just our fun Hodges days.
Yeah.
I I hope we someday get it back. I hope to someday sit on the front of my bass boat again and fish there. You know.
Well, yeah, I mean, it'll come back. I'll tell you, so to kind of touch on this, you know, I'm part of that deal, Friends of the San Diego Lakes and whatever. And Tom Lowry just had a meeting, or he went up to meet the Friends of Lake Hodges. They have their own little group up there, and
They
it's
have their
just
own friends.
yeah, they own Friends of Lake Hodges, and they're kind of, well, I haven't met them, so I'm not gonna say what, but they are very adamant about getting the dam built. Their number one thing that they want is to get the dam built, and they're fast tracking it, and they've already moved it up like 4 years.
Yeah,
They
because I thought it was
they have
2034 was the projected.
yeah, and now it's 2029.
Hey,
Yeah,
I
that's
like
and it's
it.
because of them, and it's because of they have contacts in Sacramento. So
Really?
they're getting this stuff done, yeah. And they're all about the environment and this and that and the birds, and but that's one of the reasons is because the longer that the water is down, the more birds and stuff create nests and start nesting back there in the mature cottonwoods. And so
Yeah.
when the water comes back up, they're all going to get wiped out. So that's one of their main points for getting the dam built, is so that they're not killing a bunch of wildlife in the back.
Okay.
It's pretty interesting.
I like it. I like it. I mean, I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah,
that with being California, you know, you guys have touched on a lot, and I'm so thankful for everything that you've done for fighting for these lakes. You and Tom, and you know,
well,
Jim,
we
and
got
everybody.
yeah,
It's it's incredible. I mean, I don't really know a lot of these people. I don't really have contacts, but you know, I definitely I want to help any way I can, and I'd
yeah.
really like to, you know, after this, maybe if you can, you know, kind of point me in the right direction with those Friends of Lake Hodges thing, because
Oh
that
yeah, it's a good group.
that would be
Yeah,
something that I'd like to really, you know, if
yeah,
I'm going to make something my main effort with,
yeah.
I would
Oh, they're
definitely like
you
to.
just go on Facebook, like and share. Friends of Lake Hodges. They're right there, and they have a lot of contacts. So we're working together at this point. Yep,
That's good.
yep. Yeah, 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 yeah. So I mean, it's still so far out there. Um, but they're kind of cutting through all the studies and things, the red tape. They're kind of cutting it. They're
Yeah.
doing some business.
I mean, I get it. You know, like I know we all like to joke about, oh, you know, the reason why we can't do this in California is because they found a species
Yes.
of
Yeah.
field mice, you know, a mouse
Yeah.
that, you know,
Yep.
and yeah, that's frustrating. But
Totally.
as anglers, as outdoorsmen, I think conservation really does need to be our main focus. And in California, nobody's going to take any of us serious unless we take it serious and we actually
Mm-hmm.
are ambassadors
Conservation.
for it. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
speaking of, you know, conservation, on the opposite side of that, I really do think that there needs to be some big time culling happening at San Vicente.
it doesn't it doesn't hurt to take your 5 fish.
Yeah, yeah.
No, not
You
at
know,
this point.
I wish that maybe we can figure out something to do some tournaments there that are take tournaments, and we donate the fish to a food bank. We cut them. You know, if I feel like a lot of us are sport boat guys. We can cut
Yeah.
a fish. If
Yeah.
we had a tournament like that, we filleted out, you know, a bunch of bass and vacuum sealed them, made it nice. I mean, we're not going to go to a homeless shelter and dump, you know,
I don't think they
150 bass on their
I
front.
if you just advertise the fact that you were going to have a bunch of fish and give them away at the end of the day, um, you would have people showing up to take
Yeah.
them and put them to good use. You know, there's plenty of that, and I'm sure they would take care of them.
I mean, I feel like a slot limit, even just a slot limit at Sandview would be amazing. You know, if you're going to keep a fish at, 13 to 17 inches or something,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we watched that place get absolutely destroyed when it first opened. The Shiner Brigade was out there heavy. And I mean, you were watching stringers of 5 to 8 pounders
Right. Yeah.
going. And that was
Going out the
sad,
gate.
because I don't care. Stanby, it just doesn't have enough big ones in there. I mean,
Right.
sure, there's all the 2.5 to 4 pounders you want, but
Yeah.
it seems like getting anything over 5 there is kind of special these days.
Yeah.
Unless
Well,
right at spawn when they make themselves much more known. Catch.
Right. Yeah. I'll have to ask Brian Norris about that. I'm kind of in contact with him. I email him is all. Brian Norris is the lake manager. He kind of took over what Jim Brown used to do.
Yeah.
He didn't take over from Jim Brown, but he's the lake manager, and he answers questions like that, and he's very approachable.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's just nice that we're getting heard.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
We are. We're making some
who.
contacts. We're getting heard. Yep.
Yeah, because it's weird. I just got back from Texas yesterday.
Oh yeah. What were you doing there?
Just visiting my wife's family.
Oh, okay.
They moved out. They moved out there, so
Yeah.
we were kind of in the Lake Travis area. I didn't bring a rod. I didn't fish at all, but I just kind of saw the way it is out there for a lot of things, and it's just cool,
Yeah.
watching guys
Oh yeah.
driving to Lake Travis at 6, 7 p.m. going
Yeah.
to put their boat in and go fish for a few hours,
Yep. For free.
Yep.
24/7.
Yeah.
Just go to the launch ramp. Go fishing.
It was cool. We were driving over a bridge. We were leaving her brother's house and driving over a bridge that goes over Lake Austin. And Lake Austin is more like a river. It's basically at the base of the Mansfield Dam of Lake Travis, and it's like a river, and it's not like the river we're used to. It's like it looks like Tom Sawyer. Playing out there. There's all different types of trees, and it's just very wild out there. And I was watching, bass boats zooming by, but I didn't see a ton. But man, it just looked fun. I was like, okay, I'm going out there for sure. I'm going to take my boat one of these times. I'm just going to do it and check it out because it's tempting. It's really tempting. Everything's cheaper out there.
Yeah.
It's not easy to do this here in California at all.
I know. They make it difficult.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was out there and I got to kind of see it firsthand. It's neat.
Yep.
There's definitely a lot of opportunity for fishing outdoors.
All right, man. Well, you want to wrap this thing up? We we've had a really good conversation here. We didn't even touch on your guide service. No quarter guide service, right?
Yeah, no quarter bass guide.
They can get a hold of you on Instagram or Facebook, or how do we do that?
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook. I have a page, No Quarter Bass Guide, on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
Or you can always reach out just through my regular Instagram, Craig Taylor Fishing. I'm more active on that side. So that's the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I love taking people fishing. It's fun.
Yeah.
I just enjoy sharing the stoke. It's what we love to do. And also, I've got the chance. I just want to say thank you, of course, to you guys and the Friends of San Diego Lakes for all the work you've done. I want to say thank you to my wife. Putting up with this, and my parents. My parents have always been extremely supportive of my passion, and as a kid coming from a family that didn't fish, they always helped me. They were like,
Yeah.
oh, kid needs a rod or a reel or needs a ride to the lake or to the pier. They're always there for me. Yeah. And also definitely want to thank Fish 101. I mean, I don't really have any sponsors besides Fish 101. They've always
Yeah.
been extremely supportive.
Nice.
John Park is unreal, whether it comes to just the groms and the surf side of things.
Yeah.
He's chartering boats for the kids to get them fishing.
Yeah.
Um,
Now I'm sorry, but is that a restaurant?
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, it is. It's a restaurant. They have 2 locations, one in Lucadia and one in Cardiff. And
Cardiff?
yeah, and they're
Okay.
all about locally sourced fish, fresh fish. I mean, there's
I think
no,
I think I saw or heard him on a podcast on Cast and Crank. No?
yeah, John Park. Yeah, he's been on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. They were all talking about locally sourced fish and all the fresh stuff, and yeah, it sounded good.
Yeah, he buys from all the skiff guys.
Uh-huh.
All the bluefin
Yeah.
that they get is all from the skiff guys here.
Yeah.
Local, the halibut, the yellowfin, whatever. It's fresh, and like I said, it's no frills food. It's not. You're gonna get the freshest, best cooked piece of fish.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best way I can explain it. The fish tacos are the closest thing you're gonna get to anything in Baja. It's
Right on.
phenomenal. Good prices, laid back. It's just what you want when you want just a good, healthy meal. They're the guys.
Cool.
Absolutely. So definitely want to thank them because they always promote me and they're always sharing my stories and things like that. So
yeah,
that's it. I mean, I could go into whatever brands I use, but I don't have any solid set sponsors.
Right. Yeah. I know. I mean, I get it. I don't know, but I get it. Okay, well, we're gonna wrap it up here. Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
I really appreciate it for you coming on, and it was a great conversation. And
I appreciate you having me on here.
Yep.
I'm stoked, honored to be a part of it, and I can't wait to see this thing grow and hear from more of the local guys. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun listening to you hear the things that goes beyond the dock talk and kind of.
Yeah, and
it's nice hearing different people's approaches to things, and especially when you're hearing from the best anglers in San Diego on the way they do things. It's neat.
It's nice to hear them without anybody else talking and throwing out their opinions. I got to hear about your worm fishing and whatever, and to stand in there in like a group or at the top of the dock, you wouldn't, you'd kind of you wouldn't be able to hear the same thing.
Yeah. And I know you and I could probably sit here and talk for hours.
Yeah.
I can get in the wormhole as good as anybody. We can take this down some crazy paths, I'm sure. So hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even, get John and I together.
I think that would be fun. And I was thinking about doing that this time, and I was like, you know what? I just want Craig on there because he's the whole guide thing, and I want to promote that, And but yeah, next time we can have all 3 of us on the same screen. Yeah, and that would be a good time.
It'll be a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah. Okay, man. I'll talk to you later then.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, see ya.
All right, bye.